Who is ready for man?
Everyone in the chat, say aye if you're ready for man.
Are you ready for man? Who's ready for man?
I hate men.
I hate men too. But we're not talking about men, we're talking about man.
I hate that too.
Oh, okay then. See Rayman's expression? He feels just like how I do right now.
So like you literally just like restarted your whole thing and then suddenly they just like, okay, we work now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Technology's weird. Anyways, how's everyone doing today?
Good Helmet Jr. was playing Golden Sun.
Good games. Why is the picture for Cuphead and Mugman from the show? Because I just needed a picture of characters looking scared or confused, and that was the perfect picture for it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we took Eggman's taken from Sonic X.
Yeah, exactly. And if there were a Rayman show, I would have taken from the Rayman show.
Yeah, I mean, there was.
Oh yeah, there was, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was like a really early like CGI show, and he was voiced by Billy West in that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I think it was like one of like the earliest like full 3D cartoons as well.
Alrighty then. Okay. Wait. What'd I break? There we go. That was weird. Okay. Anyway. Stream still up? Stream still working? I didn't break anything, did I? Hold on. There we go. Okay. Thought I broke something there. Okay, let's just get this started, shall we?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yes, I am updating every thumbnail in my videos, but I haven't been able to for a while because of this. So.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get this started. Time for man.
The first man.
The first man. Oh, actually, wait. No, we can't get this started because I had to restart my stream. I had to close down some my edits page, so I gotta fix that real quick. Hold on. I was not as ready as I thought.
Scuff, scuff, scuff.
Where's Eggman? Where's Eggman? Where's Eggman? There he is. I have those ready, right? Like Eggman, Rayman, Cuphead, and Mugman. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're good. Alright. Let's get started proper. For real this time. I promise.
That was pretty rough.
We did it! Let's go, Amy! Yeah!
You little thieves! Did you really think you could get out of here alive?
Come and get some, Eggman!
Sonic!
Just leave it to me!
This time, I'll take your lives as well as the Chaos Emerald. I call on you to destroy these pests! Come out, my servant!
You know, the funny thing is I can actually tell from just listening to this, like, because the audio balancing in Sonic Adventure 2 is already so bad, I actually went in and, like, edited the audio myself. That's why the audio balancing actually doesn't sound that bad here.
Sakurai! Can't believe we're fighting Mr. Smashy Bros himself.
When did I make this one? This was back in 2000. forget.
The notorious Dr. Ivo Robotnik, or as he prefers to go by,
Eggman! But how?
He had a little help.
Dr. Robotnik!
Nobody calls me that anymore.
suck on those eggs. Dr. Eggman.
That was just me being petty towards the Robotnik
Sonic
people.
the Hedgehog. The classic man versus nature story of video games, as the not-so-good doctor wishes to turn all of nature and its inhabitants into his army of mechanical minions, and sit high on the throne of his envisioned Eggman land. Luckily, the blue hedgehog is able to stop him, bringing nature back to as it should be every time Eggman tries, usually being able to take advantage of Eggman's ever-inflated ego, as well as his bad habit of leaving very exploitable weaknesses in his inventions and plans. That said, Eggman is no pushover. He has a powerful intellect with a whopping 300 IQ, being able to build just about...
You know, if you think about it, is it really nature versus machine proper if the nature side of things are these weird, like, alien-looking, like, animals? Is that really natural?
I mean, it's natural to them.
Is it, though?
I mean, yeah, it's their life.
Okay.
anything he sets his mind to.
Pretty sure if an alien
He's
crash landed
created
here, they'd be like,
hundreds,
yo,
if
what's
not
all this stuff?
thousands of different inventions over the years. Some capable of conquering the world, and others that are more questionable. But regardless, Eggman will be utilizing many of those past inventions to get by in the world of Smash Bros. Eggman himself is not a fighter, he's an inventor, and he uses those inventions to either fight for him, or to help his own fighting ability as he directly controls it. So just like Bowser Jr., who fights using an upgraded version of the Koopa Clown Car, Eggman will be fighting in what can be seen as the definitive version of his ever-trusty Egg Mobile. This version of the Egg...
right, yeah. So, everyone always yells at me about calling it the Egg Mobile, saying it's Egg Mobile. You don't say Batmobile, right? Yes, I do say Batmobile. That's just how I say it. So even if I remake this video, I'm still calling it the Egg Mobile because that's just how I say it.
Now he's gonna do it again just out of spite.
It's an egg that's mobile.
Mobile will be outfitted with all kinds of various weapons, all that harken back and reference older machines and inventions that he's used in the past. He would be a super heavyweight, as Eggman himself is a fairly husky man, and that's on top of the fact that I'm sure the Egg Mobile would be a fairly bulky machine, built to protect Eggman who sits safely in its cockpit. He'd have a grand whopping total of 5 jumps, as the Egg Mobile is seen as an aerial craft. Why the Koopa Clown Car can only have 2 jumps, I'll never know, but whatever. He'd also have...
Do you think Bowser Jr. would be a better character if he had more jumps?
Probably.
Yeah, because...
I mean, it'd give him better recovery.
Yeah, because, like, Bowser Jr., like, he's, like, in both games he's been in, he's always been seen as, like, a low-tier character. And I feel like a part of that is because he has kind of lacking mobility.
He has that. He has, like... He does kind of have a rather poor recovery, because, like, once he up-Bs and you hit him once, he's just dead.
Yeah. So I feel like Junior probably could have done well with a couple more jumps. Especially, because, again, it's like, he's in a flying vehicle! Whatever.
no additional movement options. Eggman would have a 3-hit jab that would mimic what he does when he used the E-Mech in Sonic Fighters. 2 mechanical claws would come from the sides of his Egg Mobile and would each swing forwards horizontally one at a time for the first 2 hits, and the 3rd hit would actually be a multi-hitting jab, having him swing one of his claws in circles a couple of times, hitting multiple times for small flinching damage before being slightly launched with the final hit.
I'm fine with the jab itself. I'm almost wondering, though, if I should just make it punch boxing gloves. But then, would that be too much like Junior at that point?
I don't know.
Because I'm fine with the jab itself. I'm just thinking. We'll come back to it.
Doctor's dash attack would have the Egg Mobile roll across the ground forwards. The rolling mech has a long, continuous hitbox for the whole duration of its roll, but it would only be capable of hitting opponents once, as it will launch foes a fair distance. This would be in reference to the Egg Ball, a mech that Eggman used and renovated a couple of times in the Sonic Advance series.
For this one, I still like this dash attack. I'm gonna make a slight little alteration to its animation. Alteration. Have him roll laterally, not longitudinally, because the way he's rolling here, the cockpit I feel like would look a little weird. So he probably should be rolling like on his side, so it wouldn't be like as weird.
His side tilt would have Eggman quickly thrust a bouncy bobbin arm from the side of his Egg Mobile straight forwards. It would deal very little damage, but it would have incredible knockback. I made it like...
Why not have him in the Egg Walker? Nah. I'd prefer the Egg Mobile.
This because it would be in reference to the Egg HVC-1, the first Eggman boss fight we see in Sonic CD, which didn't deal damage, but it would keep knocking Sonic backwards. The arm can also be slightly
what did I say for this?
quickly as it will launch foes a fair distance. This would be in reference to the Egg Ball, a mech that Eggman used and renovated a couple of times in the Sonic Advance series. His side tilt would have Eggman quickly thrust a bouncy bobbin arm from the side of his Egg Mobile straight forwards. It would deal very little damage, but it would have incredible knockback. I made it like this because it would be in reference to the Egg HVC-1, the first Eggman boss fight we see in Sonic CD, which didn't deal damage, but it would keep knocking Sonic backwards. The arm can also be slightly angled. Eggman's up tilt would have him quickly shoot a stream of fire straight upwards from a small flamethrower that emerges from the back of the cockpit. This stream would deal multi-hitting damage before launching foes with the final hit. This would be in reference to both his submarine mech from Sonic 2 and his Hang Mobile from Sonic & Knuckles, both egg mechs that have flamethrowers, though it would be closer to the Hang Mobile since it is deployed straight up. The down tilt would have Eggman slightly lean the Egg Mobile back and poke a small, retractable spike out of the bottom very quickly that stabs forwards at a downward angle. This is in reference to Eggman's Spring Yard Zone mech, which would use the spike on the bottom to slowly take away blocks that Sonic needs to not follow his doom. For his side smash, Eggman would attempt to smash his foes with a giant hammer that he had equipped on the Tonkatchi mech from Sonic 2. The hammer would emerge from the front of the Egg Mobile and would swing downwards from high to low vertically, smashing the ground and dealing large damage to any poor soul who happened to be underneath. This side smash would even give King Dedede's hammer a run for its money. Eggman's up smash would have him bring out two large drills from both sides of the Egg Mobile that stab and drill upwards while slightly leaning towards each other. These drills would deal a lot of multi-hitting damage before launching foes with the final hit. This is in reference to the Drill Eggman 2, also from Sonic 2. The Doctor's down smash would have him use his ever-infamous Hammer Ball, the very first mech he ever directly used against Sonic back in Sonic 1. He would bring out the ball and do a single full horizontal spin, swinging the Hammer Ball fully around himself, swinging it in front of himself first, then behind himself towards the end of the spin. The neutral air would have Eggman spawn 7 orbs that quickly encircle the Egg Mobile all around. The orbs emerging would deal large knockback, but after that, the orbs spinning would deal small flinching damage. This is in reference to the flying Eggman mech, used in Sonic 2. His forward air would have a cannon emerge from the front of the Egg Mobile and shoot a bomb that flies in an angled arc, and explodes after about a second and a half. The cannon bomb itself deals decent knockback, whereas getting caught in the small explosion deals much more damage and knockback. This is in reference to the Egg Bomber tank from Sonic Advance 2. The back air would have Eggman shoot a quick fireball straight horizontally backwards from a flame cannon that emerges from the back of the Egg Mobile. The fireball travels a decent distance and deals pretty big damage on top of being pretty fast. It would be kinda hard to aim, I imagine, though. This is in reference to the Flamecraft mech from Sonic 3. The up air would have copter blades emerge from behind the cockpit and rapidly spin overhead to deal a lot of multi-hitting damage. It would have a decent amount of horizontal range, but not a whole lot of vertical range. This isn't a reference to any one mech, but more so the copter blades that Eggman uses to both enter his mechs and make his escape and fly away whenever Sonic defeats any of his mechs in Sonic 2. And the down air would have a large claw appear from the bottom of the Egg Mobile that does a quick pinch downwards while also emitting electricity. The emitting electricity is where the consistent damage of this move is, dealing small flinching damage, and the pinching claw, of course, deals the big launching damage. But there is a sweet spot at the moment the claws pinch together, and getting hit by this sweet spot would spike opponents. This is in reference to the Egg Catcher from Sonic 2.
I was actually fine with all of those.
Yeah, I didn't think any of those were, like, bad.
Yeah, like, aside from, like, that one little alteration that I'd make to his dash attack, like, just, like, animation-wise, like, everything I thought was fine.
Yeah.
Like, So far, it sounds like the only real issue people have is the fact that I call it Egg Mobile.
Yeah. Also, hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good today. How are you all?
You doing just fine? Oh, thank you, Rai. Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that with the 50 Canadian dollars.
Oh, jeez.
That's really generous. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I also agree. People should read Berserk. It's good.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
All right, grabs.
Eggman would grab with a mechanical hand that emerges from the front of the mech. It would have some pretty good range and can even be used as another attack if used in the air, much like the hookshot grabs from the Lynx and the grapple beam from the Samuses. Me saying the Lynx and the Samuses is gonna be so weird to some people out of context. Anyways, despite the mechanical hand working similarly to those other grabs, it however is not a tether, so it cannot snap to ledges for recovery. This mechanical hand would be in reference to the Egg X mech from Sonic Advanced. Eggman would pummel by having a little...
Oh wait, why don't I just use this kind of thing for the jab then, actually, since I already have it? Yeah, I'll do that.
Also, my question is, why wouldn't it be able to grab the ledge? It has fingers.
Does it really need it, though?
I don't know. I'm just saying. It's like, why wouldn't it be able to grab the ledge? I mean, it has fingers.
I'll think about it. I don't really think he needs a tether, though.
boxing glove fly out and punch the foe. This is in reference to the melee attack done by the Egg Walker in Sonic Adventure 2. The forward throw would have the arm lift the foe up to Eggman's eye level, and Eggman would just shoot the foe with his personal laser pistol from inside the cockpit, shooting them out of the hand and sending them forwards. The back throw would have the mechanical arm swing the foe overhead and slam them into the ground behind, bouncing them into the air towards the back. This is in reference to a throw that Eggman can do with the E-Mech in Sonic Fighters. The up throw would have Eggman lift the foe up off the ground with the arm and spit a small bomb out from the bottom of the Egg Mobile that rolls right underneath the foe at the same time, then drop the foe onto the bomb, causing it to explode immediately and setting them straight up into the air. And the down throw would have Eggman do a type of suplex to the foe, having the Egg Mobile do a small jump and then slam the foe into the ground with the arm, bouncing the foe into the air. This would be in reference to an attack done by the Big Arm mech from Sonic 3.
Those are all fine. Those grabs are all okay.
For Dr. Eggman's neutral special, he would use his lock-on missile launcher, the main...
Have we ever seen Eggman shooting with a laser gun? Yeah, multiple times actually.
Weapon used by his Egg Walker in Sonic Adventure 2. Holding the special button down will have Eggman emit a thin infrared light straight forwards horizontally, and will only continue to emit this light so long as the button remains to be held down. But the light will eventually die down and disappear if it remains active for too long. Let's say that it'll die down after about 5 seconds. Any foes that intercepts this thin laser will have a lock-on symbol appear over their character. And when the Eggman player lets go of the special button when a foe or foes are locked on, Eggman will automatically shoot energy missiles that will home in on the locked on foes. And he will shoot as many missiles as there were opponents that were locked on, with each missile going to each locked on foe in order of when they were locked on. These missiles deal small damage and cause knockback that shoot opponents upwards. The missiles do move at a decent speed, but most characters can outrun them. The missiles will disappear if they take too long to hit their intended target, but they will always be actively trying to hit their intended targets until they disappear, or of course, hit the foe. Eggman's side special will have him use the Drill Eggman mech from Sonic 2. The Egg Mobile will have a spinning drill emerge from the front and pulls out wheels from the bottom, then drives straight forwards pretty quickly. The sweet spot of this attack is the drill, and foes hit.
You feel like I can do more stuff from modern Eggman machines? The slight issue with that is that a lot of the modern Eggman machines are either, like, way too big to, like, properly incorporate anything from them, like, for the purpose of what this Egg Mobile is, or they have attacks that already reference prior classic ones.
Yeah, because as we know, Sonic Team love their nostalgia.
Yeah.
hit by the drill will be dragged along with it, being dealt a lot of small flinching damage, and will only be able to get away when the attack ends, or when they're at a high enough damage to the point where the attack will just launch the foe too far to be dragged. The rest of the mech does have a hitbox on it, but it acts as a sour spot, and will only slightly launch foes that hit it with very minimal damage. This attack would function not unlike Bowser Jr.'s side special, being able to cancel it with the B button to break, or you can end it by jumping for possible follow-ups. Breaking has Eggman stop the Eggmobile sideways, which can be used for a decently strong attack.
So, Brian,
and if any foe was caught on the drill when you braid...
Why are you talking in the middle of me going over things, Brandon?
Sorry.
We are live streaming here. Mans is really trying to derail the conversation. I don't believe this.
Sorry, I forgot to hit the watch stream button.
Yeah, I'm sorry, BJ. This isn't your stream anymore. This is a hijack.
I believe this. I'm sorry,
They're
that was
pretty
honestly my
guaranteed
fault.
to get hit by it and launched. Using this special in the air will also propel him forwards, so it can be used for recovery if need be. I should also mention that while driving on the ground, the Eggmobile will have a great amount of heavy super armor, being able to power through even some of the stronger attacks in the game. The up special will have the Eggmobile bounce high into the air with a spring that emerges from the bottom of the mech. It's not an attack itself, and it has no hitbox, so it can only be used for vertical recovery, and it will put Eggman into freefall when used. This would be in reference to the Egg Press mech from Sonic Advanced. So between this special and his 5 jumps, Eggman would have some amazing recovery for a heavyweight, even better than the likes of D or K. Rool. And for Eggman's down special, he would make use of his many other inventions outside of his Eggmobile mechs in the form of his infamous Badniks. Using the down special will have Eggman spawn one of 5 Badniks from underneath.
For the side special, can the drill be detached for a projectile? I thought about that, because I even saw that being used in the footage. I don't think it's needed here. Because Eggman already has a huge amount of neutral game and projectile options. Not to mention the Badniks, which I'm about to go over here. I feel like giving him more would make him become a bit too insufferable of a character. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, also BJ, I went looking up other instances where Eggman was holding a pistol. Yeah, I saw that he had one in Riders. There's also one of the IDW comics where he just straight up has a Glock.
Yeah. But yeah, because he has the neutral special, which is already a pretty, it's a homing projectile at that. Yeah, the Badniks, which you can use quite often. And he's a super heavyweight character with a lot of disjoint on his attacks. So I feel like giving him more projectiles might make it a little overkill. Yeah.
The Eggmobile, and they will always come out in a set order. These Badniks will behave just like they do in the Sonic games that they're in, and can be destroyed by taking too much damage, or will automatically explode after 15 seconds, which can deal damage to both foes and creator alike. Eggman can only spawn 1 Badnik at a time though, and cannot spawn a new one until the one currently on the stage is destroyed. Of the 5 Badniks that Eggman can bring out, the first will always be a Motobug. Motobugs quickly drive back and forth on the stage or platform that it was spawned on, and that's it. Just touching the Motobug deals small damage, and getting hit by it as it moves deals a little bit more damage than that. The second Badnik that would appear after Motobugs would be the Buzz Bombers, and they would fly around randomly and shoot small energy bullets at a downward angle at random times. Again, just like with Motobugs, just touching Buzz Bombers will deal small damage, and getting hit by their bullets deals a good amount of damage and knockback, but they should be easy to avoid. After that will be Burrowbots. As soon as a Burrowbot is spawned, it will immediately burrow into the ground, and can be seen burrowing around. If spawned on a platform, it'll go straight down through the platform and keep going down until it finds a solid stage to dig into. It will stay underground until it manages to get close enough.
Should be noted that probably would also apply to the air. Like if you spawn this while you're in the air, it'll just dive straight down. So ideally, you don't want to spawn it when you're over the blast zone. Ideally,
yeah. So,
otherwise, Burrowbot's like,
over there, Burrow.
Though really, that should in general apply to all of the grounded bots. Like Buzz Bomber and the later mentioned Orbinaut would be fine because they fly. But yeah, don't spawn your grounded Badniks over the blast zone because they may not. You're just killing the poor animal inside of them at that point.
Sacrifice.
To a foe. From there, it'll jump out of the ground at them for a sneak attack. From there, it'll just move around left and right until it's destroyed just like the Motobug, but a little bit slower than Motobugs. And it of course will deal small damage to foes who touch it while it does this. If the Burrowbot can't find a foe to jump out at before the 15 seconds are up, it'll automatically jump out of the ground and explode as soon as it does. The next Badnik will be the ever-infuriating Slicer. This Badnik will not move from the spot where Eggman spawned it, and it'll throw its pincers into the direction of the nearest opponent. The pincers will fly a fixed distance before boomeranging back to the Slicer, but the pincers can be destroyed before they can make it back to it. And if it is, the Slicer will have nothing left to live for and will automatically self-destruct. Good riddance. And the final Badnik to appear will be an Orbinaut. These guys will slowly float left and right by the spot where they respawn with 4 spike balls orbiting around it. These spike balls will deal decent damage to foes who touch them, of course, and the Orbinaut will slowly shoot each of its spike balls straight forwards horizontally one at a time. The spike balls travel a pretty far distance before disappearing into a tiny explosion, and it would take around the 15-second time limit for the Orbinaut to whirl.
Oh, thank you so much, Dark Banner Knight. I would change one of the Badniks to Caterkiller. I feel like Caterkiller were, considering what Caterkiller is, would be a little redundant.
Yeah, because you already kind of have like a Badnik that just moves around on the stage. And that's
Yeah.
Motobug.
Yeah, because Motobug is, like the one that moves around on the stage. Buzz Bomber is the flying one that can shoot at you. Grounder is the one that can ambush you. Slicer is the grounded projectile one. And Orbinaut is like the super tank is a super tanky one that, I guess to be fair, is also kind of projectile-y, but it's a little more dangerous in that regard. So
all 4 spike balls, meaning of course that as soon as it shoots that 4th ball, it will self-destruct. These Badniks may sound like a huge hassle to deal with, but I will mention that Eggman does in fact have a finite amount of them. He'll only have 3 of each Badnik per stalker life, and whenever one is destroyed, it will take away from how many he has left to use, as if the animal used to power the bot got away. So once he goes through 15 Badniks, he won't be able to spawn anymore. However, Eggman's stock of Badniks will replenish whenever he respawns, as if he quickly captured more animals to use for its hamster-powered robots in the time it took for him to respawn. Despite all of that, all of these Badniks would be great tools for pressure, but keeping an eye on them and getting rid of them quickly would be the best way to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed, which overall would be Eggman's greatest asset, being able to overwhelm his opponents, using his wide variety of tools to keep his foes on their toes and taking total control of the stage. It's something that would be very easy for Eggman to do, just like when he tries to take over the world. But like when he tries to take over the world, he can be thwarted, and that leads me into his biggest downfall, or should I say, his biggest gimmick.
okay, everything I've seen up to now, aside from like the few little animation changes I would make, I think are fine. The basic attacks are fine, the grabs are all fine, I'm still fine with those specials. The gimmick is the one that I'm the most hesitant about, but I gotta remember exactly how I built it. So let me re-listen, because this was the one that I'm thinking probably will get adjusted or removed or changed, depending. Let me listen to it first, and it just depends, because I know my initial thought process was, because it's like we talked about before with how Eggman's already an overwhelming character. He has a lot of disjoint, a lot of projectiles. He's heavy, so he's hard to kill. He has a great recovery. He's, on paper, a fantastic character. So the idea was that I gave him this huge downfall. So like, strong character, big weakness. That was kind of what I was going for, because that is what Eggman. That is pretty much what Eggman does to himself in the games. Let's see how well it holds up, though.
Eggman, of course, relies on his inventions to get ahead, and relies on his Egg Mobile to properly keep up with the other fighters of Super Smash Bros. So one can only imagine what would happen if Eggman were left without his Egg Mobile. Actually, don't bother trying to imagine it, because that's his gimmick. Eggman, for the most part, while in the Egg Mobile, would take reduced damage from all attacks, as the Egg Mobile would be the one taking all of the attacks. But the Egg Mobile would have its own damage meter, and it takes normal damage from opponents' attacks. And once it takes a total of 80% of damage, it gets destroyed, leaving only Eggman to fend for himself. I chose 80% specifically in reference to how most Eggman boss fights need to be dealt 8 hits in order to be beaten.
80 might be a little low.
Yeah, because, like, especially for some characters, it's very easy to just combo them to 80%, and then it's like, well, I'm boned.
Especially since he is a huge heavyweight, that's combo food waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So, one immediate change that I would make here, 80 is too low. I don't know what number it should be. It should be definitely a much higher number than 80, but that it depends on the balancing, for sure. Like, it just depends on what would be best for, like, to balance out with the fact that Eggman is such an overwhelming character. So I'm not really going to give a specific number here. Just know that it's one higher than 80, I would say. So 80% damage before the egg mobile is destroyed is too low.
With that aside, when the egg mobile is destroyed, the poor doctor will be left with his second, but much, much, much worse moveset. While he's mechless, he will run much faster than normal, but he'd only have 2 worse jumps and would only have 2 attacks. He wouldn't even be able to grab. He'd only have his basic movement, jumps, shields, dodges, a single basic attack, and a single special attack. That's it. His single basic attack would be a pretty weak slap that mimics his attack that we see him able to use in the Chow Garden of Sonic Adventure 2. It could only hit forwards, and that's it. It doesn't matter what direction you're pointing, he'll only attack in front of himself. His new special is a little bit more useful. Kinda. It would have him shoot his little pea shooter laser gun, which he is able to fire into any chosen direction based on
there's a laser gun.
Yeah,
but it is
see?
still pretty weak and only deals small flinching damage. Something else that's also reduced while Eggman is by himself is his weight, becoming more of a below average heavyweight to above average middleweight character, meaning that he will be easier to KO while mechless. Overall, the best thing to compare this gimmick to would be D.Va from the game Overwatch, whose mech can be destroyed and is forced to defend herself, also with nothing but a little gun. Though in Overwatch, D.Va is able to get a new mech to spawn by getting a kill with her little gun. Eggman will also be able to get a new egg mobile, however unlike D.Va, he won't need to get a kill to get it to spawn, so don't worry about that. A new egg mobile...
Yeah, using an Overwatch reference here to explain this probably didn't age that well, considering what's been happening with Overwatch, but it still explains it, I would say.
Yeah, it's still a way to explain it. It's just, man, fix yourselves.
Yeah, and sadly, this is probably the closest Overwatch is ever going to touch this series for a long time, if ever. At this rate.
Yeah.
At this rate. Oof.
Mobile will spawn at a random spot on the stage after 12 seconds. And if Eggman is able to get close enough to it, he'll automatically jump into it and regain his main moveset. That said, opponents can attack the egg mobile and be able to deal damage to get a head start at destroying it again once Eggman does get back to it. Or they could even destroy it before Eggman gets to it at all, forcing Eggman to wait another 12 seconds for another to spawn.
That's a little much.
Yeah, I think that's overkill.
Yeah, okay, changing that. After the allotted time...
Especially since if we're going to be increasing the health anyway, I don't think that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, so after a certain amount of time, Eggman... the egg mobile... Wish I could spell today. Will automatically spawn to Eggman, immediately regaining his moveset. Yeah, that's probably that's a little more fair, I'd say.
Just hope that it spawns closer to Eggman and not the opponent, and you'll be fine. If Eggman is KO'd while out of the mech, he will respawn back in a new egg mobile automatically. And if he's KO'd while an egg mobile was sitting on the stage before he can make it to it, the egg mobile will just disappear as Eggman spawns with another one. Overall, fighting Eggman in Smash would be very much comparable to his boss fights in general. He's great at dealing pressure and taking full control of the battle, but if you take advantage of his weaknesses, he'll be pretty easy to beat.
Okay, so the idea of the gimmick is fine. It just needed adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think I made the actual weaknesses of it, yeah, a little much. So, bring those back to make it much harder. Like, to make it, less likely, less often that he'll get put out of the mech, and he should be able to be guaranteed a mech once you already suffer the punishment, like, for a certain amount of time. So, yeah, I think those adjustments I think are good, are fine. But the actual gimmick, I think, is okay to stay. Okay. Cool.
Dr. Eggman.
Give the mechless form of recovery? Should mechless Eggman have a recovery at least? Do you think?
I mean, I could imagine maybe he has like a jetpack that gives him at least some kind of height.
Why can't he grab? Because Mans is not trying to... Mans is not... It's just trying to run away. He's not trying to grab people. He's trying to run away.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I can work with that. That's fine. Give him at least a mechless up special.
Why do people hate Blizzard and Overwatch? We do not have all day.
Strictly for recovery.
Yeah, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, let's just do these real quick as well. Hold on. Like, I'm also like color coding my my notes here, so I know like what's being adjusted, what's outright changing, and all that. So okay, Final Smash.
And Final Smash would have him use one of his most iconic creations, the Death Egg Robot.
I will still argue to this day that this mech is way more iconic than the Egg Dragoon. You are never convincing me of that otherwise.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah.
To some people, the Egg Dragoon is probably just cooler, but the Death Egg Robot's probably been referenced more than any other mech in Sonic media.
Because I remember when I first posted this moveset, I had a lot of people getting mad at me for using this as the Final Smash and not the Egg Dragoon. Sorry, you're not convincing me to use this in anything else otherwise. This robot is the only thing I can ever see being Eggman's Final Smash.
Yeah.
Now, what the actual Final Smash was, I forgot. Let me see. This Final Smash would work very much like Bowser's current Final Smash in Ultimate. Fitting, since Bowser and Eggman are seen as iconic villain counterparts, just as Mario and Sonic are iconic hero counterparts. Eggman, upon activating his Final Smash, would fly away.
To be fair,
and
Eggman did
reappear in the
do
background
this
behind
before
the stage,
Bowser did his Final
but now
Smash.
controlling his powerful
Bowser copied
Death Egg
Eggman.
robot. From there, a large amount of lasers and missiles will begin barraging the stage and dealing small flinching damage to opponents. All the while, a reticle will appear as the Death Egg robot holds up its arm. Once the player presses the special button, or automatically after 5 seconds, the robot will do a quick and powerful extending punch into the spot where the reticle is, dealing big damage and knockback to all opponents hit by the punch, and KOing them automatically if they end up with higher than 100% of damage when they get hit. Eggman is able to use this Final Smash even if he's lost his Egg Mobile, and when he does, he'll automatically get a new one once the Final Smash ends.
My Final Smash is fine. Like, even if it is similar to Giga Bowser, like, it still fits what the Egg Robot... I literally show footage from doing literally what I'm explaining, so, like...
Yeah.
I still think it's fine. Like, plus, I give the added... Like, the additive of, like, the lasers and missiles that, like, that ran all over the stage, so... Technically, I suppose it is kind of stronger than Bowser's, but something you probably noticed that I didn't actually mention was that Bowser's Final Smash is an automatic KO one. Like, if it hits at over 100%, I didn't do that for Eggman's. So Eggman's is more likely to deal more damage, but it doesn't have the automatic KO that Bowser's does.
Eggman's default color would have him in his usual red outfit, with his Egg Mobile in its usual gray metal colors. His first alternative color would give him a blue outfit, and give his Egg Mobile blue metal colors, in reference to his by far most powerful creation, Metal Sonic. His second could give him yellow colors, and the Egg Mobile yellow and red colors, in reference to Eggman's current right-hand robots, Orbot and Cubot. Here's a green color scheme, in reference to E100 Alpha, aka Zero.
A bit of an obscure reference for that, but I was probably just looking for colors for a color spectrum here.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Oh, here's a white color scheme in reference to
in reference to Sage. Good Sage specifically. What did I reference here?
Eggman's grandfather and creator of Shadow
Gerald.
the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
Professor Gerald.
Not sure how I feel about the gloves. It's kind of an ugly color right there for the gloves. Come back to that, I guess.
Who's
next
gonna be
colors-
paying attention to the gloves?
Scheme can give him the colors of Eggman Nega. Eggman's descendant.
Now that's a good reference.
Yeah.
Why didn't I just make it Nega, though?
I think I know why, but I'm gonna wait to see if it comes up. If I
From
remember
the future
correctly.
and/or his alternate dimensional counterpart. Sonic continuity is bad. Anyways, for an alternate
I'm streaming right now. What's up?
costume, it can change Eggman's appearance to look like
Yeah,
his classic
there it is.
look.
That's why.
Okay, but what's stopping it from having multiple alts?
Yeah, I mean, look at the good kids.
I mean, does he really need 3 though? That just seems like.
Does it matter?
I mean, I guess.
There are
not,
characters
but-
that have nothing but alts, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say
Again, look at Bowser Jr.
yes. I'm gonna just say for this one, fix, make it a Nega alt. Just make it Nega. Like it doesn't need to be just a color. Just make it Nega.
And this costume could have a single alternate color, giving him a pink outfit with polka dots and green pants while making its Eggmobile orange tinted, in reference to one of Eggman's earliest concept arts.
So you have red, blue, yellowish, green, white, black, technically red again, and then a pink. That's fine, actually. That's a good color spectrum, I guess.
Sleeping cap not included.
Now he could very easily have other alternate costumes that give him his other appearances. The ones that I've mentioned are just some examples for now. The Doctor's stage intro would
I say that, but it's probably not. And I just said, but regarding the Nega thing, the only issue is the fact that they're all red, so we got a color spectrum issue. Aside from just changing the Nega color into a Nega alt, I think the colors are fine. I do kind of want to adjust the colors on the Gerald one a little bit. Adjust colors 8 bits, because some of those colors were a little bit ugly. So
We'll turn it into a Sage alt.
just turn it into Sage. Well, Sage is mostly Sage mostly has black colors though. Like, she's white when she's having happy feelings, but speaking of which, actually,
you know what? Eggman's feeling happy about being in Smash.
this is actually appropriate because I totally almost forgot about the fact that the Frontiers update comes out in hours from now.
Thank you for reminding me. I should put in my copy of Sonic Frontiers. Just so I can be ready for that.
Anyway,
have him simply fly to the stage in the Eggmobile, but he would do so in a way that's reminiscent of how he enters his boss fights in the 2D Sonic games. His first taunt would have him look towards the screen and chuckle, in reference to what he does in the classic Sonic games. His second would have him stand up in his cockpit and do a taunting motion while saying,
It's no use. Give up.
and his third taunt would have him fire some blank shots into the air from his blaster and say his infamous line,
Get a load of this.
and for victory animations, his first would have him bouncing up and down in his Eggmobile with his arms in the air and say,
Now you know why I am the best.
a direct reference to when Eggman beats and gets A ranks and levels in Sonic Adventure 2.
okay, for that one, I'm gonna make a slight adjustment. So fix. So keep this part of it where he's doing this, but have it end on a pose or something. He doesn't need to keep doing. It's either have him start with something and then end with the jumping up and down, or have him do the jumping up and down and then end on a pose. It shouldn't just be that. So add more to this one. The taunts were all fine, by the way. I think the taunts were actually all okay. Well, I actually want to add a little more to the first taunt as well. Add a little more. Because the idea of looking at the screen and chuckling, a very classic Eggman thing as well, but a little more could be done with it probably. So just add a little more.
Wahid states that he should have a unique victory quote where when he beats Sonic, he says, Eggman 1, Hedgehog 0.
His second could have him fly in, get
Well, is it really Hedgehog 0? I don't think it's Hedgehog 0.
out of the Eggmobile, then plant a spinning sign from Sonic 1 into the ground that ends on his face, and be laughing as he does. This one was actually my friend Raushutsu's idea, so full credit to her for this one, because it's a
Danny's
great
idea.
idea and I had to make mention of it. And his final victory animation could have him fly in, but then stand up in the cockpit and begin juggling all of the Chaos Emeralds while grinning. A clear reference to the bad ending of some of the classic Sonic games if you aren't able to collect all of the emeralds before beating the game. So not only has Eggman beaten you in this Smash match, but now he has the power to take over the world. Great job, hero. But on that note,
Okay. Solid moveset. I wouldn't actually outright change anything. Just make adjustments. Like animation adjustments to the jab and the dash attack. Major adjustments to the gimmick to make it, less exploitable. Slight color alterations, and then the one nega alts, and then adding a little more to to that one taunt and that one victory animation. But overall, I think it was fine. I think that represents Eggman well. I know it's still probably going to be a little upsetting to some people on the fact that a lot of this moveset is very classic reminiscence and less of the modern stuff. But I should make mention again, a lot of Eggman's modern things usually do the same things as the classic ones, if not outright reference them. So just please keep that in mind. Either that or because in a lot of the modern stuff, he usually resorts to having these much bigger machines, usually in the shape of something, that usually have multiple functionalities. So pulling just bits and pieces from them, especially when those bits and pieces are also done by the classic ones as well, that's a little unneeded, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And also, let's also be fair here. Most of Sonic's moves in Smash already are just references to the classic games.
And people hate him for it.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's fitting that Eggman mostly references classic in that regard.
Yeah.
and it's fitting that people hate me for it. Egg a joke. Oh, you're right. Almost forgot.
That does it for Dr. Eggman. While I did do Shadow and Tails before him, and I do personally like other Sonic characters more than him, I do think that if any character should become a second Sonic rep for Smash, it should be Dr. Eggman. Not just to add another villain to the roster, but because he's been around just as long as Sonic, and is by far one of the most important characters to the Sonic franchise aside from the Blue Blur himself. With a character like Eggman, there's just so much creativity that can be put into a character like this. About as much creativity as the inventions that Eggman makes himself. Anyways, with all that said, if you... Oh, shoot! You know what I just realized? I did a whole video on Dr. Eggman, and I didn't make a single egg pun! Okay. Here's one. If I were to master Eggman in Smash, I could say that Omelette smarter than I look. What the... Hello? I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Really, BJ? Did you just say that? You just got 20
Whose
K
poor
subscribers.
mic
You
quality
really
is
want
that?
to chase him away with your terrible pun work? Okay, no, I can't work with this. I'm canceling your show and sending all the funds viewers to wildlife reserves. All right, you're done. Out.
Okay.
And in the end, the funds never made it to those wildlife reserves. Brian kept it all to
Anyways,
himself.
if you enjoyed what you saw and would like to see more characters be given possible...
Okay. Alright. So Eggman, the moveset overall is fine. Adjustments here and there. The biggest adjustments need to go to the gimmick, but I think it's actually fine. I think it held up decently well. Alright, next movesets.
Yep. Here's the one I'm here for.
Next man.
Long ago, the primordial forest, deep and mysterious, witnessed the birth of a man. A vegetable. No. A thingamajig.
Why vegetable?
Because his body looks like an eggplant.
Was it? Yes.
Conjured from the magnificent moonbeams of the second summer solstice. Woven together by us, the nymphs, destined to preserve the equilibrium of the sacred universe, the one we call Rayman, proved himself to be absolutely...
Hey! Rayman, no, that is your mother bed thingamajig. You stop that right now.
Oh, that was an awful edit. He didn't even do like the thing where you pull the thing. Whatever.
So since BJ has been fired for posting cringe, I am taking over the helm once again.
Oh, all the cringe that was posted before this. well before Eggman.
Man, I'm a terrible producer if I haven't fired you since then.
It was the egg pun that was the final straw, man. Come on.
Yeah, the egg pun was the final straw. I could handle the dirty job he did to Typhlosia, but that egg joke? Oh no.
And you're welcome, Internet. Ubisoft's limbless wonder Rayman steps into Smash.
Oh, what is this render that I used? Oh, gross, pixely. Ah.
Smash as our newest character. Or so he hoped when all he was relegated to was a trophy back in Smash 4. Seriously, at least Waluigi was an assist trophy with his own shtick, but Rayman? Sakurai, why? Rayman is a rather odd fellow. Starting on the PlayStation, he's done many things. Fight hokey bad guys with hokey names, attained a dark and twisted sequel where he fought robo-pirates, fought against black lums, and almost got his whole franchise destroyed by bunnies. But every game he's in, Rayman does the great justice of doing the most wholesome thing in the world, and that is ending slavery. For a Smash moveset, Rayman is probably the easiest character for me to make a moveset for. Helps that the revival of his franchise gives him a ton of moves to work with, but since Rayman's continuity isn't exactly focused, seriously, the Rayman Origins website states that Rayman's missing limbs is the result of zombie chickens stealing the limbs to make those parts of his body, and so Patilla was just like, and made him as is.
Didn't he also start out as bald, but then in that origin picture he should have been starting off with hair?
Like I said, Rayman's continuity is non-existent.
Continuity? What's that? That's actually a great... This is a great...
Rayman does not care for continuity.
This image of Patilla, of what's-her-face, though, is actually a great emote. Gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah, Patilla.
Gotta keep that one in mind.
This allows for even more creative things. Heck, I actually could just be boring and only do a moveset involving the things he could do in Origins and Legends. That's how much they give me to work with. But Smash isn't boring, so we're gonna go hard with it. Rayman would be a medium-weight character with moderate movement speed on walking and running. He would have 2 jumps, and he would have access to all movement options, as Rayman has been shown to be capable of wall jumping, wall clinging, and even crawling. And while this is entirely cosmetic, Rayman wouldn't have the typical bubble shield from Smash. Instead, whenever he shields, he puts up the shield from Rayman Arena. In Rayman Arena, this was a weapon in which a character puts a big electrical barrier around them that protects them from everything. Plus, touching the shield deals 1 HP of damage to any opponent who touches it. Don't worry, it won't do that in Smash, because having a shield that damages you upon touching it would be busted. It would only be the shield weapon in appearance alone without any of its in-game functions.
Now, if you could actually pause, BJ. I do believe that is one thing that I know a lot of people had, primarily when it came to the specials. I feel like I took too much from Rayman Arena.
Unfortunately, I know very little about Rayman. I still have yet to see a lot of his games, aside from Origins and Legends. So I'm gonna have to base a lot. So I'll give my own speculation on like what feels right and whatnot. But just like with Klonoa, you're gonna have to kind of fill a lot of the space in for us.
Yep.
Klonoa and Spyro, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, I'm echoing?
You're echoing?
Yeah, chat saying I'm echoing.
Talk again, Brian?
Hello? Am I echoing now?
There's still an echo?
Yeah. Chat, we're trusting you on this.
Also, was he echoing the entire time and no one said anything until now? Okay, sounds like you're good now. Alright.
Rayman's jab would be the same from Origins and Legends, where he throws out a 1-2 hit punch and ending with a 3rd jab, which would be the strongest hit. Rayman's punch would actually cover a bit of distance due to the fact that he has no limbs and his fist could go as far as he generally needs them to. Seriously, what are you? His dash attack would be Rayman doing a quick spin with his hands out, His side tilt
So
would be a
lariat.
forward extending roundhouse kick. The third attack Rayman can use while walking and mashing the attack button. His up tilt, Rayman would do an uppercut similar to Mario's, but would be longer range, making it a better anti-air than a...
Okay, so hold up. I almost wonder if we should switch the last hit of the jab and the side tilt. I know technically in context it doesn't make sense to quite do that, because that like strongest punch really is what he does when he's standing still, whereas that kick can only be done while he's walking, so that technically makes more sense as they are in context of the game. But from a visual standpoint, what do you think? Like,
I think you could be either or with them.
either or?
Yeah, because I mean, one of them you're just changing the final hit to a kick. The other one you're changing it to a punch. It's like it's generally just like not just the same move coming out, but also just it could just serve the same function.
Yeah, potentially
Yeah, you
for
could
the
just
most
be
part.
either
Yeah.
or about it.
All right. I think it's chat saying they like it as is. So I guess either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
attack Rayman can use while walking and mashing the attack button. His up tilt, Rayman would do an uppercut similar to Mario's, but would be longer range, making it a better anti-air than a combo extender or even combo starter. His down tilt, Rayman would do a low to the ground kick with his foot extended outwards.
I
His
couldn't have found a spot somewhere in that game where he wasn't like dark.
Nope.
There wasn't anywhere in the game where... Okay, whatever.
forward smash, Rayman would wind up his fist and release a strong punch that would stretch as far as Simon and Richter's F smash. Okay, now that I think about it, most Smash characters are just trying to one-up each other in terms of how far their attacks reach. I mean, first Shulk had the longest ranged F smash, then Corrin came along, and then the Belmonts, and I remember hearing...
I feel like this still applies to a degree.
Yeah.
Sephiroth.
Min.
Min. Yeah, you're right, Min. It's even worse. This still applies. This joke aged perfectly.
It did.
Oh, I hate it here. Yeah, Byleth? Like, oh my goodness. No, Min takes the cake, though. Min. I think Min won. It's gonna be interesting to see someone actually outdo Min. So.
Yeah. No, they actually add Rayman in Smash just to beat Min.
Sonic's S smash is pretty dumb. Guys, it's not a contest. His up smash would be a wind-up punch that ends in an uppercut instead of a straightforward jab like his forward smash does. His down smash is the first of the few times I had to improvise an attack for Rayman, where he would do a two-sided split kick similar to Fox but with more reach. His neutral air, Rayman would do his spin attack he does when landing on the ground and pressing attack. His arms and legs reach out and he does a few spins in the air. The hits would work similar to Palutena's neutral air. A few multi-hits with the last one doing the most launch power.
Oh, I see why you chose this attack specifically. You wanted to make sure you had a broken move like Palutene.
Yeah, no, with longer reach. All aboard the air train.
Rayman's forward air would be a double overheaded hammer punch. This move can spike if sweet spotted, which the sweet spot hitbox would appear during mid-swing as Rayman brings the hammer of randomness onto your skull. His back air, Rayman does a backward sweep kick. His up air, Rayman would spin his hair like a helicopter blade and send opponents upwards.
I seem to remember for this attack specifically, we actually had a move that came from the game itself, but we liked this idea more.
Yeah.
This move would even make Rayman
Yeah, 'cause
float
I think
a little
the
as
other
his
one was like, it was just like another punch upwards in the air.
Yeah.
helicopter move is known for doing, and I could have just done his up air from Origins Legends,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it'd just be boring. It's just another kick. As for his down air, Rayman would perform his ground pound, going towards the ground and slamming anyone in his path.
It's called the
This
crush
move
attack.
would spike
Fake
after the
Rayman.
move. However, like Sonic's down air, he can act out of it after a while. The move would even create a small shockwave if he lands while the hitbox is still active. But if the hitbox is gone, Rayman will land completely lagless if he lands with the move.
Okay, so I guess aside from the potential switch of the last jab and the side tilt, which either or, some people seem fine with it, so I'm not that worried about it. Attacks are fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think, how many of these attacks also came from the first Rayman game?
Not that much, because, like...
I know he had, like, the
first
wind-up punch. That came from the original game.
Yeah, that came from the original. there wasn't really that much combat moves that were in the original Rayman anyway. Like, most of that was just added for, like, Origins and Legends. Like, I know for the first Rayman, there was the punch, there was the ability to crawl, the ability to run.
Change the down smash? I like that down smash, though.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the down smash? He does a big split kick because he has extendo feet.
Yeah.
I like that down smash. What's wrong with the down smash?
You were about to say he has extendo legs.
Yeah, he doesn't have extendo legs because he has no leg. People are saying they'd refer something from a game. He punches the ground. So you mean the thing we made for is down air?
Yeah.
Nah, down smash is fine. I like that down smash.
Yeah.
Rayman's grab would have great range due to him not having arms, so his hands can just go however long he pleases.
I know for this, some people brought this up and I believe originally, Brian, this was an idea that you did have, but I kind of vetoed it because it felt unnecessary. Him using some kind of like long range like bear trap kind of deal.
Yeah, from Rayman 3, like he had like a chain that he could use that he could turn his gauntlets to that he could just grab stuff with.
Yeah, but I felt it unnecessary if only because he already has extending arms. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, extending hands. Dang it, he has no arms.
Yeah, but you know what, BJ? It's Rayman. He doesn't care about consistency or sense.
Well, guess what? I do.
Well, that's where you and Rayman differ.
And that's why I didn't do this move. Kidding.
Chat, call this man a coward.
Grab is fine. I still don't think he needs the chain thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
Also,
on Pichu, to answer your question, yes, I am.
Travel. This
Wait, what was the
also
question?
means Rayman's grab acts more
If
like
I was a Sith
tether
for
than
Palutena, the answer is yes.
Oh.
a traditional grab. So while it comes out quick, the end lag is what hurts it. This does mean Rayman has a tether recovery and can grab the ledge with his...
See, he does have finger, just like you said for Eggman, so he has a tether grab.
Yeah.
Even though technically he has no arms to act as tether. Rayman's weird.
Fine.
This man weird.
Own grab. His pummel would be him doing a strong headbutt. I guess the zombie chicken stole the lums of his brains too. His forward throw, Rayman would wind up his fist with the opponent still in his grasp and he'd yeet them off the stage. His back throw, he just casually tosses them behind him. His up throw, Rayman would throw them in the air a bit and then hold them in the pose he makes when looking up in Origins and Legends, and then pushes them higher into the air. And his down throw, Rayman would wind his fist up as a tornado appears around the opponent, dealing damage before spinning them into the air.
You see, there you go, guys. There's a Rayman 3 reference for you.
So this is where I had to pull from Rayman's other games. For Rayman's neutral special, he would use the rubber bullets. While they existed in Rayman 2 The Great Escape, they weren't called rubber bullets until Rayman Arena. Rayman would fire a small orange bullet from his hand. This move would be...
So he had some kind of projectile in the original game too, right?
No.
He didn't?
No, not in Rayman 1.
I could have sworn he was able to throw something in Rayman 1.
No, he couldn't.
Okay then.
fired off one after another, similar to Fox's blaster. However, unlike Fox's laser, Rayman's bullet would be unique and be capable of bouncing off surfaces. In Rayman Arena, the rubber bullet can bounce 3 times before disappearing. These the same way, but to keep them from being too obnoxious, the bullets would have no knockback and would do less damage the more times they bounce. Naturally, they do 1% damage. The first bounce would reduce it to 0.7%, the second bounce would be reduced to 0.3%, and the final bounce would do 0.1%. After that, the shot will disappear.
What is Magic Fest? Some people are bringing up Magic Fest.
That's Rayman 2, isn't it?
Didn't you say the rubber bullet was in Rayman 2, though?
Yeah, it was.
Is that Magic Fest?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing?
Yeah, it's just the same thing, different name.
So what are you guys complaining about? If it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Should we just call it the Magic Fist just to appease you guys, even though it's the same thing?
You know, if that's the case, don't do it.
Unless they're maybe asking, because, you know, also a thing you can do in Rayman 2 is that, you can eventually get the ability to charge a shot.
To charge it? To charge it?
Yeah, because you can charge the shot in Rayman 2 to fire a stronger blast.
This is true.
I guess it's something maybe you could kind of do. Like maybe if you wanted to fire off something a bit more, but you'd like have to commit more, and you really couldn't move. So like,
yeah, and that seems to go against this. What's supposed to be a high momentum moveset.
Which, if I may say, they made that whole charging aspect a lot cooler in Rayman 2 Revolution specifically.
Yeah.
If anyone's played that one.
Some people are saying just to keep it the same thing, just to keep it the rubber bullet, because it's the same thing anyway, and plus they balance, so it makes more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the same thing, then who cares? The actual attack is that I'm hearing anyway. So far is fine. I don't think the attack needs to be changed from what I'm seeing so far. Could it let's listen to the other attacks first to get a better idea of if it can be moved to do a different special. We don't know yet. But in terms of it being Magic Fist, again, it sounds like it's the same thing anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
His side special would be the fireworks from Rayman Arena. An explosive green firework is shot from Rayman's hand that travels in an arc. These were pretty dumb in the original game due to their ability to juggle your opponent if they were too close to you, resulting in an instant death if you could get the juggle. In Smash, that will be incorporated somewhat. Rayman will have two variations of the fireworks, a tilt version and a smash version. Think of this as Palutena's explosive flame where the move's distance changes depending on if you tilt the stick or you smash it. But it's not just the distance that changes. For the tilt version, the firework won't travel that far and it will do small knockback and small damage, making the tilt version of this move more of a juggling tool. And for those of you asking, yes, you can DI your way out of the fireworks. So their juggling isn't as potent compared to the original Rayman Arena. There, once you got caught, you were just done.
Just don't stand so close to me, you scrub.
The Smash version of the fireworks will travel further.
I am in full agreement with the chat. This is one that I do want to change.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, I will take the full brunt on this because I think I did have a bit too much Rayman Arena at the time because it's like, it's a Rayman fighting racing game. I'm sure I could just take some stuff from this, but like
question.
Because
sorry, real quick question. What was the name of the special?
The fireworks.
Why do I have Glue Bomb listed here?
Because I think Glue Bomb is a different special.
In fact, I have Fireworks listed as a down special.
Yeah. That might have been the original script, maybe. And we just
we just changed it like mid-editing, and I forgot to change it in my notes.
We probably changed it mid-editing, yeah.
Well,
but I'd say either the rocket shell or you could have him ride the mosquito and it just does like a dash forward.
Rocket shell or mosquito for side special.
Yeah, because like in Rayman 2, there was like a rocket shell you could ride on that had for one thing it neighed like a horse. Don't ask. But you could ride on this. But yeah, you could ride on this rocket shell, and if it like collided with anything, it would explode, which was bad if you were riding on it.
Okay. Some people in chat are saying Gluba. What's a Gluba? Though more people are saying mosquito or rocket shell. So.
Yep.
And yeah, like Good Humble Jr. does bring up a good point as well. This was something kind of in the back of my mind as well as I was watching the fireworks explanation. It does feel a little samey like with the rubber bullet.
Yeah, so. It's another projectile that just kind of goes forward.
Yeah, so give him something to ride that can act as like horizontal recovery. That should be fine.
Yeah, either the mosquito or the rocket shell.
Alright.
Larger knockback and damage, making the Smash version more for nabbing KOs. To note, Rayman will only be capable of firing off one.
When will I make more Smash movesets? When this gets fixed.
One firework at a time. So if you miss, you have to wait for the firework to be gone. But
skip the rest of this.
Rayman's up special, he dons the throttle copter hat, where similar to K. Rool, he can fly around with helicopter blades spinning. He would be able to have more horizontal control than the Croc Kings, but it wouldn't go nearly as high. And yes, the helicopter blades do damage. Rayman's down special...
Is that one fine? Is it up special?
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Would be the fake generator. In Rayman Arena, generators would give you any random weapon upon passing.
Okay, fake generator. I don't even remember much about this. I kind of already got the feeling that this needs to change.
Yeah, I know that it was just a bomb that you could plant, and if anyone got a bit too close to it, it would set it off.
Through them. However, there's sometimes the occasional fake generator that would explode if your opponent sticks around them for too long. And they were bad. They never worked. For Ultimate,
If they were bad, why'd we use it?
Because they'd be better in Smash.
Well, I don't think I like this. This probably should go for something else.
And would lay down a fake generator on the stage that would explode if anyone stood too close to them. They'd have a bit of wind-up before exploding though. However, just like in Rayman Arena, Rayman can trigger the fake generator himself if he stands too close to it. This would set up some nasty traps if your opponent is tunneling hard, but do be careful because Rayman can be hurt by the explosion too. Rayman can only have one out at a time and must blow it up if he wants to plant another one. Doing down special again while a fake generator is out would do nothing.
Okay, so if we were to change this, what would you change? What would you change it to?
I know a lot of people in the chat are saying change it to the plum, and it's like I could see that, but like
Plum? What's the plum?
So a plum was something that was actually something you can use as like a kind of a vehicle of sorts in some of the Rayman games. Like you just pick up a plum, put it on the ground, and then you can just ride on it.
Huh.
And there are also some times where like you could pick up a plum, throw it at an enemy, and it gets stuck on their head.
That sounds interesting, though. I do kind of like that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. I'll just put plum thing for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plum thing.
So I thought of two things that would make Rayman a more standout character. Okay, one thing. The first one is something Peach and Daisy could do. By holding the jump button, Rayman's hair will spin like a helicopter, allowing him to glide. However, unlike Peach and Daisy where they stay afloat, Rayman will slowly descend. As for the other gimmick, I wanted to make Rayman feel more like his Origins and Legends counterpart and incorporate his slick movement from those games. So I thought of something relatively simple, but will give Rayman a unique movement option that I don't think any other character in Smash has, and that's sliding. By pressing down while running, Rayman would dive to the ground and slide across the ground a good distance. No, he would not be able to do an attack if he chooses to commit to the slide. However, at any point before the slide ends, you can cancel it by jumping. This will give Rayman slick movement while on the ground, being able to slide under attacks while still being able to approach, and converge into the air for quick transitions from ground to air. Plus, on some stages, Rayman could slide, jump, and start wall jumping for further stage exploration. I can just see it now, Rayman would be moving all over the place on a stage like Temple, but it would add great emphasis to how Rayman's movements in Origins and Legends flow so smoothly with the level design. Plus, it would make for some decent defense play and some dastardly mind games.
I think both those gimmicks are fine.
Yeah.
That should be a down tilt or dash attack, but no, I don't think it needs to be. Because it's not an attack, it's strictly movement.
Yeah, it is strictly movement. And like I feel like another thing that I also feel like I could have mentioned as well, because it's like while you wouldn't be able to like attack while doing the slide, you could like when you cancel it, you could jump into the air and then you'd be able to at least maybe follow up with an aerial like that. So
yeah.
You could also use it for like really like long committed tech chases.
Yeah. I think it's a fine move.
Yeah.
Like, because again, we could have turned it into an attack. Like nothing was stopping us from taking this like the strictly movement based option from Legends and turning it into an attack. Like I've done that before. But I think in this scenario, I think it's just fine as like its own little unique gimmick.
Yeah.
The idea is that Rayman's supposed to be like this high mobile character.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta level with you guys. I had to do something for this final Smash that I never thought I'd have to do for this character. I had to think. Not because there wasn't anything I couldn't think of, but the opposite! I had way too many ideas in mind for a final Smash that this character could do. Seriously, Rayman, it's like you were meant to be in Smash or something. From mosquito assaults to stealing Shantae's final Smash and fighting off Razorbeard's attacks while he bombards the stage, there was even a homage to Rayman 2 where he would jump on a rocket ship and fire attacks at people. However, I thought of something.
2 of those things we decided to make a side special.
Yeah.
One of which, anyway.
Much funnier. The camera would zoom in on Rayman and he was about to do a super flashy attack, all for the dynamic shot to be cut short as giant enemies start looming from the background. Soon the enemies start barraging the stage with attacks. Dragons would fly by and breathe fire on the stage, arrows from archers would be fired from the blast zones and onto the stage, and the attacks would end with cannon fire hitting the stage and blowing things up. The action on screen would be sporadic, but can be dodged if you can see where it's coming, as all the attacks are easily telegraphed. As for what Rayman is doing during all this, he's just running around the stage flailing his arms around in panic, screaming his head off. A nonsensical reaction to a nonsensical character.
I don't know how I feel about this Final Smash. Like, is there something else we could potentially do for it? Brian?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I think the only other thing that I could probably consider is that I don't know. I guess the only other thing I could maybe see is like the mecha that I don't know. I guess maybe the mecha that Razorbeard rides comes down and maybe just blows up on the stage like it did at the end of Rayman 2, but like I don't know. I feel like just using another character for like someone else's Final Smash, I think I don't think would be too good.
Yeah. Rayman's never had an instance where he went like superpower mode or something like that?
Not really.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I see some people mentioning it. I mean, it couldn't be a thing then because, Spark of Hope wasn't a thing. But since it is, we could probably pull something from Sparks of Hope.
I still haven't played it yet. And I want to play it myself, so I don't want to get spoiled on that yet. So
yeah.
I'll just say potential change, but we're not sure. We'll see.
Yeah.
These were also easy to think about because, once again, Legends does the work for me, as he's given so many different alternate costumes. It's almost like he was Okay, I'll stop. However, instead of just stealing every one of these, I will make a few of my own. Besides, there's only 2 alt costumes I want to steal from here anyway, and 2 of the color schemes I'm sure would have been used even if Legends wasn't loaded with costume choices. The first alt, Rayman would have completely red hair with a green torso and shoe.
Why didn't we just steal them all from Legends and Origins?
Make our job easier.
Yeah, why didn't we just do that? Why did you make me go through all this extra effort of having to make the art?
You know why? Because we're overachievers.
This is in reference to Batilla the Fairy, the very same who created Rayman to begin with. The second alt, Rayman would have a blue head wearing
cursed
clothes, blue hands, and green shoes. This is in reference to the Teensies, a race of creatures who have no idea who their king is and constantly keep fighting over the ground. The third alt would be a dark purple Rayman. This is in reference to Raymuses, aka Dark Rayman, who was a character in the first game. The fourth alt, Rayman would be looking grayish with his body having white and red stripes going down it. This is in reference to his nemesis Razorbeard from Rayman 2.
I don't like that alt.
The fifth alt would be Rayman donning Mario's clothes.
This is a good alt.
This is in reference to Plumber Ray, a costume you can unlock in Legends. I could totally see Mario looking at Rayman thinking, okay, one of us is gonna have to change. And the sixth alt would be Rayman donning his Sir Ray alt, in reference to the Sir Ray costume from Legends, and a nod to the Viking girl Barbara. No X included. For the last alt, Rayman would be completely blue and covered in blue speckles, which would be in reference to Raybox, a costume where Rayman dons the colors of his best friend Glowbox.
Okay. I'd have to go back and look to see how many of these were just referenced to other characters. I know for a fact this Glowbox one actually is a real costume from the game, so I think this one's fine to keep.
Yeah.
The Batilla, the Teensy, and the Razorbeard ones I think can probably change. I'll go back and look at them. So I'm going to put potential changes for all of them.
For Rayman's taunts, Glowbox? You can leave now. Your shift is over. Glowbox? What are you doing? Glowbox, stop. You're getting a little too close. Glowbox!
Bad touch.
Man, talk about something that didn't age well.
Didn't age well on day one. You kidding? we had to literally throw in an extra little like here. You keep listening.
So
Yeah.
Glowbox is an Echo Fighter. I guess he just got tired of Rayman raiding his wardrobe. Though to be fair, he had it coming.
So I'd like to make an addendum. The script was made before the initial rule of Echo Fighters were made and what qualifies as an Echo Fighter. So due to Glowbox being a chunky fat boy, he wouldn't qualify as an Echo Fighter for Rayman. So pretend I said semi-clone, okay?
Glowbox.
It's like, yeah, that's why I thought we had to throw that little addendum in there. See, obviously the idea of if this video were to get remade, we would have to remove Glowbox entirely from it.
Yeah.
Now the question though is, how different is Glowbox's, I guess, moveset in Legends and Origins compared to Rayman's?
None.
There is no difference.
Yeah, not really.
Okay. I mean, they literally have, like, the exact same attacks.
Yeah, like, all the characters you play as have generally the exact same attacks. They just have different visuals.
Well, that's what I mean. Like visually, how different, how similar are they?
Yeah. Oh. I don't want to say they're too different visually.
Because I'm thinking overall, Glowbox probably can be given his own moveset at this point. We'll see.
Yeah.
So let me just do this. All right, we'll come back to Glowbox, because Glowbox is kind of a weird situation, but there's a good chance that if I end up remaking this video, even though there's not really a whole lot to remake, I think maybe just remaking it for the sake of Glowbox would probably be worth it enough.
Yeah.
That way we can give Glowbox his own video if people want it.
Yeah.
You guys want Glowbox, right?
you want Glowbox, right?
You want Glowbox, right?
He would do a lot of the same moves Rayman does. The only difference is that he would be heavier and slower than Rayman. Also, due to Glowbox actually having arms, his range wouldn't be as crazy as Rayman's, but would also be stronger. Glowbox would also use his tongue to grab opponents, and instead of sliding on his belly, he slides on his back. That can't feel good at all. And since Glowbox isn't like Rayman who has hair, Glowbox changes it up a bit, where
I do still like this up
I
here.
do too.
I do still like that up there. We're keeping that no matter what.
Yes.
Even if we give Glowbox his own video, he's keeping this no matter what.
Yes.
That's just funny.
instead of hitting the opponent with spinning hair, his eyeballs pop off his head, spin around like helicopter blades, then land back on his head. Oh, don't give me that look, livestream chat. Have you played a Rayman game? That's literally the most normal thing a character can do. Razorbeard has a robot wife whose theme song is auto-tuned to opera set to electronica. And he built henchmen 1000s who can't decide between being a Mexican stereotype or a spaghetti western. Glowbox would also have a different final smash, where instead of monsters attacking the stage, Glowbox would wind up his hand and slap anyone in front of him. Anyone caught by the slap will be pulled into a cinematic finisher where the opponent is beaten up by Glowbox's kids. All 650 of them. Christmas must be a nightmare.
That's still a good final smash, too.
Yeah.
For Glowbox's alt, his first one would be a bright red alt. No real reference to anything.
Okay, I'm coming out of being fired for a second to step in real quick, but you said the red alt isn't a reference to anything? Isn't the red color Glowbox's original color before he had an accident with a bumblebee or berries or whatever? Shame on you, Brian.
His second alt would be a dull pink alt in reference to his wife, Uglette. Okay, who names their kid Uglette? You are a terrible parent and nobody likes you. The third alt would be a dark purple variant of Glowbox. This is a reference to Glowbox, which is dark Glowbox from Rayman Legends. The fourth alt would be a white Glowbox in reference to the Rabbids. The fifth alt is Glowbox wearing Viking armor, which is a reference to the Sir Glombrax costume from Legends. The sixth alt is Glowbox wearing Luigi's clothes in reference to Glob Plumber. And the last alt is Glowbox and Rayman.
Cursed!
Rayman's intro would be a reference to an intro animation.
Everything about that was cursed. But all of those colors were fine. Like, I wouldn't actually change any of those colors, but that last one was cursed.
Listen, he's just T-posing for dominance, BJ.
He does for Rayman Arena. He jumps onto the stage only to miss his shadow, then slowly steps behind him so he can be aligned with his shadow. Glowbox's intro is he falls from the air and plops into a puddle, where he pulls himself back up from it. This is also a Rayman Arena intro animation. For Rayman's taunts, his up taunt would be him taking off his torso and spinning it on his finger just like a basketball. Because yes, he can do that. Rayman has no need to agree with your logic. His side taunt, he sticks his tongue out at you while crossing his eyes, really selling the point of how bad at Smash you are in the most juvenile way possible. And his down taunt, he looks at the camera and holds up a peace sign, flexing hard on the KO he just got. Seriously, if a thing with no limbs manages to style on you, that's probably a point to reconsider your life choices. Glowbox's up taunt is he raises his fists in a put 'em up motion. His side taunt involves Glowbox scratching his butt and making DJ record scratches as he does it. New mixtape on iTunes, buy it now. And his final taunt, he inflates and then turns into a puddle and then he pulls himself back up. For Rayman's victory animations, you are insane if you think one of them isn't his Rayman 1 level clear animation. It's as iconic as the jingle that's made when you complete a level. In fact, that would be his victory theme too. His second victory animation would be his pelvic thrust of justice. This was his victory animation from Rayman Origins. And his final victory animation would be rocking out on an air guitar, the same animation he makes when completing a music level in Rayman Legends. For Glowbox's first victory animation, he does his rain dance from Rayman 2. His second victory animation, he chuckles to himself for a bit, removes his eyes from his head to juggle them, then suddenly eats his own eyes and they pop back on his head. Why are you still questioning Rayman logic at this point? Stop it. And his final victory animation is his own pelvic thrust of justice. And that just about does it for Rayman.
Okay. I feel like the only thing I would add, I would want there to be a little more to the pelvic thrust ones. Like maybe a final pose or something like that.
Yeah.
But beyond those, taunts and victory animations were all fine.
Yeah.
So let me just make a little note about those. So add, and then the same for Rayman's. So more than likely, yeah, if a version 2 Rayman video comes out, Glowbox will not be in it. Glowbox will probably end up getting his own video at some point. So keep those in mind, Brian. Be ready for that one.
All right. I'll remember the origin of Glowbox's red skin.
All right. So a little more that wants to be done to Rayman compared to Eggman, but it's still not a whole lot. It's just those 2 specials, a couple of colors, and that's kind of it. And then some the Glowbox thing is kind of the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
Hashtag free Glowbox.
Hashtag free Glowbox. Hashtag you better request for Glowbox then. Nah,
yeah, come on, Glowbox fans, rise up.
Honestly, I'm not going to make you guys do that. Well, what I'd probably do, honestly, instead, because Glowbox kind of already got into the video, what I would probably do is kind of make it like a special, when and if, hopefully when more than if, I get around to making these version 2s of these movesets at some point. When I get around to Rayman, what I'll probably do is actually make it like a special kind of deal where on the same day I post version 2 of Rayman, I post what if Glowbox was in Smash. That's probably what I'd do. So I guess, little spoiler warning, I suppose. I literally just made that up now, actually. So, spoiler warning, whenever you can expect a Rayman version 2 video, also expect Glowbox. So.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess that'll do it for Rayman then. So let's go. How are we doing on time? Half hour left. Okay, so we can go ahead and go through Cuphead. So, you gonna stick around for Cuphead, Brian, or are you gonna go ahead and go?
No, I actually gotta start my own thing.
Okay. Alright, well, thank you for sticking around, Brian. So I guess next time you show up will be for Amaterasu?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So then actually, probably sometime, probably not next stream, but probably a couple streams from now, we gotta make sure we get Danny, because once we get to night, we gotta make sure Danny's here for that.
Yeah.
All right then. We'll talk to you later, Brian and chat. Let's go ahead and get started on the last video for the night. Cuphead.
Yeah.
sad thing, because I can do that edit way better nowadays.
That's how we get better at editing when the further we get into content.
Will I do the same with Kangaskhan, like for Glowbox? Probably not. Glowbox is special. Alright, because Cuphead was a huge requested character.
Yeah. Haha.
Yeah, Cuphead was kind of the first, like, hugely major requested one.
And now, presenting a boy who has stamped his name into the gaming history as, yeah, okay, I am not doing that. My speech will literally destroy me if I try. Anyways, Cuphead, the 1930s themed run-and-gunner who, after a lot of dedicated man-hours of animation, has run-and-gunned his way into nearly everyone's hearts overnight. You guys certainly showed so, as he is the most requested character that you guys wanted me to give a Smash moveset for, as I'm sure you noticed. But real quickly, let me get a couple of things out of the way. Some of you may be confused as to why I'm doing Cuphead now, since I did announce beforehand that I was going to be holding off on him until the Delicious Last Course came out.
Oh, yeah, glad I didn't wait for that. Glad I did not wait for that.
Or at least until we learn more about it. Well, we did learn more about it.
It eventually came out.
It needed to be pushed back until 2020. Good for them.
Glad I didn't wait for that.
For prioritizing the health of their animators, but it's also been information that I've been waiting to hear. Now that I know the DLC won't just drop randomly anytime soon, and because I don't want to wait for what could be a whole year to do my most requested moveset, I decided that now was as good a time as ever for Cuphead to join the What If roster. I'm sure the DLC will have some cool new stuff that I could have used for the moveset, but that's just how it be sometimes. Maybe I'll make a video in the future after the DLC comes out talking about what could have been. But enough of that.
And I think if I recall correctly, I don't really need to do that still. Cause like the DLC added like new weapons, like some like new shots and such. But more than likely, I can probably just save all those for like a potential Miss Chalice moveset.
Let's get into Cuphead himself. A young boy who lives with his brother Mugman and caretaker Elder Kettle on the magical island of Inkwell. After the two boys made the mistake of taking a rigged bet with the devil himself, Elder Kettle bestowed onto them special powers, so that they may take down the other runaway debtors, as well as the Lord of Darkness himself. And it will be these powers which will allow Cuphead to keep his milk from spilling over in the world of Super Smash Bros. He would be a below-average middleweight class character with 2 jumps and no additional movement options. Also for some cool aesthetics, whenever Cuphead dodge rolls, he could do the dash animation from his game, and his air dodge could have him use the smoke bomb charm. So as I try to make known, I tend to not look at other Smash movesets online before I actually make each specific character moveset to avoid them influencing my own ideas. But if there's one thing that I am fully aware of, it's that most people feel that Cuphead would play much like Mega Man, having Cuphead's shot attacks be used as his basic attacks. Well, I actually disagree with this idea for Cuphead, mainly because I feel like it would make Cuphead's Pea-Shooter too limited when compared to his original incarnation in his game. For Mega Man it makes more sense, since he can only shoot his weapon straight forwards anyways, so it was already limited. But Cuphead can shoot his weapon into all directions, so I feel like the Pea-Shooter should be relegated to a special, but I'll go over that later. With that said, you may be wondering then what I'm going to be doing for Cuphead's basic attacks. Well, one thing that I feel should be very much emphasized with Cuphead is not just his run and gun aspect, but also the fact that he's based off of a 1930s cartoon character, drawn in the old-fashioned rubber-hose style of animation. A style of which, as I'm sure many of you are aware, tends to get very trippy, and does get taken full advantage of in the game of Cuphead as well. Something that I do find kind of ironic though, despite Cuphead being the main character, he's actually the least crazily animated character in the roster, with his animations being rather tame compared to just about every other character in the game. But regardless of that, I would very much like to emphasize the crazily animated nature of the 1930s cartoons in Cuphead's moveset, with his attacks being just as crazy and nonsensical as we see in those old cartoons. As such, I really had to go out there when it came to the animated attacks. So take all these with a grain of salt, as I wanted these to be asinine, and they could have literally been anything else. So getting right into it, Cuphead's jab would be a 3-hit jab that starts with 2 basic punches that mimic the style of old-fashioned boxing, and the 3rd hit could have him end it with a stronger launching punch, morphing his hand into a large boxing glove, not unlike the attack that we see from the boss Cuphead the Grande. His dash attack could have him trip and tumble over into several comedic rolls before he ends up on the ground bewildered. The rolling would only deal small flinching damage, with the attack's large launching damage coming from the end of the attack when Cuphead hits the ground. Alright, now let's add some real flesher to these moves. For Cuphead's side tilt, he can grab the handle of his head, detach his head off of his body, and swing it forwards horizontally. And when he does, his head changes into a hot iron. Yep, this is where we're going. For his up tilt, Cuphead could stick his thumb into his mouth, blow, and cause a small explosion of milk upwards from his straw. And for—
Before you all say anything, I don't care if it's milk or not. I don't. Anyway.
For his down tilt, he would launch his legs forwards while low to the ground. And while he does, his legs morph into push mower blades to deal quick multi-hitting damage. Right now you guys must be so confused behind the logic of these attacks. Don't think too hard about it, it makes perfect sense in the context of those old cartoons, I promise. That said, however, for—
Okay, so I still like these attacks. I do. I still think these are fine.
I do
like, because again, they can kind of just be anything. Like that was kind of the whole point of them. Just these random, super, just like, yeah, it's very just flesher inspired. So, oh, thank you so much, Angel Troy. Cuphead and Eggman now need to gun it and run away from Unity after what the Game Engine's company recently did. Oh yeah. Well, anyway.
Wait, what about the Unity?
Don't worry about it. No, Unity. Not the community, Unity.
I said Unity.
Okay, well, I'll tell you about it later.
For his smash attacks, these will make reference to attacks that Cuphead can use in the game. More specifically to some of his EX special attacks, as well as a single art. For his side smash, this will be the one time where he actually does go all Mega Man on his opponent and uses the EX form of his pea shooter, the Mega Blast. Subtle. It's a large projectile that travels horizontally, and its size and range increases the longer it's charged. Again, just like Mega Man's. Moving away from the Blue Bomber, Cuphead's up smash will have him use the Radical Barrage straight upwards, causing a kinda large explosion directly above himself. It would have a great amount of coverage vertically upwards, but would have a harder time hitting shorter foes standing right next to Cuphead. For Cuphead's down smash, he would utilize kind of a nerfed version of his 3rd super art obtained by saving the mysterious legendary chalice from the final mausoleum, the Giant Ghost. In the original game, this special had Cuphead use a super steroid-injected version of his own spirit to deal big damage to enemies with a powerful lariat. For Smash, Cuphead would bring out a smaller version of that ghost, which would spin in place right over Cuphead, hitting on both sides with both fists as he lariats a few times. For the neutral aerial...
Okay. I still like this as an attack. It needs to be slightly altered a little bit, though. So, because I still like the idea of him using the ghost as, like, the lariat hitting on both sides, but since it's a down smash, it needs to hit low. So I'm thinking, like... change animation. Make it so that the ghost swings low. So I gotta keep that in mind.
This could utilize the whetstone charm that...
Would Cuphead be 2D? He can be 3D. It's no big deal.
Cuphead could obtain. An item that allows Cuphead to turn his straw into an axe, and allowed him to attack foes with his parry. For Smash, it would have Cuphead do a front flip or...
See, kind of a funny thing actually with this move specifically is, like, I do remember when I first posted this attack, like this moveset, there were a bunch of people that hated the idea of Cuphead randomly morphing parts of his body into different objects or whatever for attacks. But we see him already able to do that in-game. He turned his straw into an axe. So, I don't see what the big deal is here. It's like, these are, I'm guessing these are mostly just like younger people that like don't really understand the concept of the flesher art style that I was going for here.
Straw morphs into an axe and swings in a full 360-degree spin. For the remainder of his aerials, let's go back to some crazy innovations. For his forward air, he can spin the whole upper part of his body with his arms held out horizontally like a fan. Look at the animation we see done by Croaks during the boss fight with him and Ribby, which by the way are made as subtle references to Ryu and Ken. That'd be an interesting interaction. Anyway, this attack would deal multi-hitting damage before launching foes with the final hit. The back air could be a single launching blow that would have Cuphead morph the bottom half of his body into a cannon and fire a quick explosion. His up air would have him morph his straw into a ratchet noisemaker. You know what I'm talking about, those obnoxious sounding party favors that you spin to get on the sober people's nerves? Cuphead would spin it above himself twice. It has a decently long active hitbox, but can only hit foes once, as it will launch them simply by hitting them at all points of this attack. And finally for his down air, which would be the most dark of the bunch, fitting considering the context and theming, it would have Cuphead's feet turn into cinder blocks and fall straight down while he panics. This would be a strong attack, but it would only end when Cuphead hits the ground and breaks the cinder blocks open to free his feet. Meaning that if you use this over the blast zone, then you'll definitely be swimming with the fishes, see?
Okay. Yeah. So aside from the adjustments I would have to, I want to make to the down smash, just to make it a more proper down smash. All of those attacks are fine. I think all of those attacks actually are fine. You don't think he needs a falling move? I think to a degree here, I think it is actually necessary because a lot of his stronger attacks are grounded. So I think it's fine here. Plus, I like the cinder block thing, so.
Cuphead would grab with one hand and would pummel by quickly spinning his head in a fast circle, smacking the foe with the handle of his head as he does. For his forward throw, he would cup his hands together in front of his mouth and blow, turning his hands into a horn and blowing the foe away. The back throw can have him trade places with the opponent with the use of his smoke bomb charm, and when Cuphead reappears, he would be holding a fire hose from which his straw morphed into and spray the foe towards the back. This would be a throw that turns Cuphead around. For the up throw, he'd perform a magic trick for all the kiddies out there. He'd cover the foe with a blanket, which they would disappear underneath, but then shoot them out of his straw straight into the air like a cannon. And for his down throw, things get a little more devilish. A hole would randomly appear under the foe's feet and they would fall into it. Cuphead would panic and look into the hole in fright. You would hear devilish laughter and see flames emitting from the hole, until finally, the hole literally spits the foe out into the air with a loud belch, also knocking Cuphead over in surprise.
I like all those grabs still, those are all fine.
Alrighty, now let's start getting into Cuphead's actually seen attack, the shot. This will be his neutral special attack. Tapping or holding the neutral special button will have Cuphead shoot his shot straight forwards, but after starting the attack, you can use the control stick to aim the attack into any direction. And you can even walk around and jump while firing the weapon. Gotta keep that jump and shoot element after all. Also, if you want a more precise means of aiming, if you hold down the grab button while Cuphead is firing his shot on the ground, it'll lock him into place, and allow the player to fire into any direction they choose without moving. Now, something I've been pretty vague about so far, I keep referring to this attack as the shot, but in reality, Cuphead actually has numerous different shot weapons that he can obtain in the game, all of which have differing properties. All of these shots will be accessible here, and you can access them with the use of Cuphead's down special. Cuphead will always start a match defaulted to his pea shooter shot, which is the first weapon that he gets from the Elder Kettle at the beginning of the game. And just tapping the down special will default Cuphead back to the pea shooter if he had a different weapon. Holding the down special down is what will allow Cuphead to choose a different shot for Cuphead's neutral special. With a UI similar to Shulk's, holding down special will pull up a small menu around Cuphead that shows all of his available shots, and holding the control stick into the direction of a different shot will change Cuphead's neutral special into that shot. Normally in the original game, the player is only allowed to bring up to 2 shots with them to a battle, and can change between them freely as they fight. But for Smash, I think it'll be a bit more interesting to allow Cuphead to have access to all of his shots, as just limiting him to 2 would be kinda boring. Now, getting into the shots themselves, they of course all have differing attributes as well as advantages and disadvantages, but they all do have one thing in common. None of them deal any knockback whatsoever. They only deal damage. This overall should be an attack that the Cuphead player should be utilizing at all times to quickly rack up damage to their opponents, and really have no excuse to not be constantly holding the button down, just like in the original game. If you weren't holding down the shot button at all times, then you were doing something wrong. But let's go ahead and get into each of the shots themselves, which would all behave near identically to how they do in Cuphead's game. Starting with the default P shooter, this shot has an indefinite range, meaning it'll go on forever until it touches a blast zone. And it deals average damage to opponents when compared to the other shots.
That's too strong.
Let's say that it'll...
Change that to... So fix... No indefinite range. Give it a limited. A long... but limited range.
Will deal about 2% of damage per hit. The next shot on the roll would be the spread shot, which would have the worst range, but is shot in 3 forward directions.
I just can't count. I say 3, I put up here 4, but you can clearly see it's 5. Both and 1 can't count, ladies and gentlemen.
Each individual shot would only deal 1.5% of damage apiece, so this weapon would be better to use when closer to opponents to rack up the damage very quickly with all 3 shots. The next shot is the Chaser Shot, which is a homing bullet that will actively follow the closest foe to Cuphead. Better to use if you don't trust your ability as a marksman, much like myself. I'm terrible at aiming. The downside is that this is the weakest shot, only dealing about 0.5% of damage with each hit, and the range is not indefinite, so they will disappear after a bit if they aren't able to hit an opponent. The next is the Lobber, which would have the slowest firing rate, being able to only shoot 1 a second, and each shot would be affected by gravity, meaning that they will fall and hit the ground not long after being fired. But these are the strongest shots, capable of dealing a whopping 10% of damage with each hit. And finally, the last shot would be the Roundabout, a boomerang shot that goes forwards a set distance when fired, but then immediately turns and goes back indefinitely into the opposite direction after it reaches that set distance. This shot will deal 1.5% of damage if it hits foes while going forwards, but will deal 2.5 of damage if it hits them after turning around. Something else I should mention is that the shot neutral special would not be affected by stalling, meaning you can use them as much as you want and they will never weaken. Now I can already hear you guys yelling at me saying that I forgot a shot. You're of course referring to the charge shot. Well, I decided to go ahead and relegate this shot to his side special, as it functions slightly differently than his other shots do, so I felt it appropriate to separate it to a different button command. The charge shot mechanically works identically to Mega Man's Mega Buster in the Mega Man games, being a weapon that of course can be charged when you hold the button down and increases in power the longer you charge it for. And it would work just like this for Smash, just tapping the side special will have Cuphead fire a kinda slow projectile with rather pitiful range. But it deals 6% of damage and does in fact cause...
I gotta stop listing all these percentages because it's all based on balancing. So they'd be subject to change after the playtesting anyway.
Knockback. Holding down side special will charge this move up, and it will be automatically fired into any chosen direction as soon as the button is let go. The player can walk and jump while charging, and can cancel the charge by shielding or dodging. The charge does have a peak, of course, and it takes about 4 seconds of charging to reach it. From there, after it's fired, it releases a large...
Are we now making the Roundabout back range limited too? Oh, did I make that one indefinite too? Let me see. You're right. All right, so that one also, yeah, that one also needs to get fixed as well. Thank you for pointing that out. I totally missed that. Yep.
Blast that can deal big damage and knockback to any foe. It wouldn't be as strong as, say, Samus's fully charged charge beam, mostly because this move is pretty versatile, and I don't want it to be too broken. But it is still very much a dangerous move. And finally, for Cuphead's up special, it will have him use his Parry Slap. Parrying is a means of mobility as well as defense that Cuphead can do by slapping anything that's pink, giving himself an extra aerial boost while also neutralizing whatever pink thing it was that he parried off of. For Smash, this up special would act as a type of extra jump, having a random pink dot appear right under Cuphead, and he would immediately parry off of it, sending him up higher into the air. He would be able to use this move up to 3 times in the air before going into freefall, and he is able to move left or right as he does this. If an opponent is too close to Cuphead right when he uses this move, they will get hit by it, being dealt some small damage and knockback, and Cuphead will actually be sent a little bit higher than normal as a result. This attack will also neutralize any projectiles if the player can hit them with proper proper timing, which will also send Cuphead a little higher than normal. Now I know I am breaking the parry rule here by letting Cuphead use it on non-pink things, but that would make it way too situational for the Smash setting if I did otherwise. And it's not like this is the first time that some rules were broken.
Wait, hold on. Let's see how many of these still apply. Okay, Mario and Luigi using fireballs without a fire flower. Yes. Kirby using copy abilities without healing the proper foe. Yep. Mega Man using the Robot Master powers without changing into the proper mode. Simon and Richter.
Hang on.
Huh?
The Kirby using copy abilities without inhaling the proper foe. What
Yep.
about the trophy stalls thing that you could just like walk up, touch, and just be able to take the power that way?
He still needs to get the proper foe. He still needs to have like the actual ability first. He can't just mix and match them.
Well, no. I'm saying like you don't have to like inhale enemies necessarily to get power ups with Kirby.
The point being is he still needs to get the power. He can't just use the mix and match of powers whenever he wants.
Okay, fair
like he can in Smash. Simon and Richter having more than one sub weapon. Yep. All Lord class Fire Emblem characters being able to use counter. Yeah, that's still. I think that still applies. I don't know if Three Houses or Engage made a way for them to be able to do so, but that still applies. Yep. Robin should not really be able to use Nosferatu while in Tactician class. Pichu being able to use Skull Bash is impossible. Joker being able to use Aha without Arson. Cloud being able to manually charge his limit break at will. Nope, he can't do that in the game. Inkling having access to more than one weapon. Yep. Yoshi being able to throw eggs without versing an enemy. Lucas, it's all semantic stuff. This is just stuff you ignore for Smash. It's just hand wavy. Who cares? So anyway,
Okay, to make a moveset work for Smash anyways. But overall, this up special would act as both a great defensive tool and also just a great get-off-me kind of tool if the Cuphead player is feeling too pressured by the foes, but it does require good timing to use, just like in the original game, and using it all willy-nilly can lead to some easy punishes.
Okay, I need to go back to the beginning of this one to hear something here, because I think I missed something here.
Dangerous move. And finally, for Cuphead's up special, it will have him use his Parry Slap. Parrying is a means of mobility as well as defense that Cuphead can do by slapping anything that's pink, giving himself an extra aerial boost while also neutralizing whatever pink thing it was that he parried off of. For Smash, this up special would act as a type of extra jump, having a random pink dot appear right under Cuphead and he would immediately parry off of it, sending him up higher into the air. He would be able to use this move up to 3 times in the air before going into freefall, and he is able to move left or right as he does this. If an opponent is too...
Okay. I like this as a special. I don't want to change the special. I do want to make an adjustment to it, though. Mostly aesthetically, I should say. And no, I'm not changing this to the plane. Plane is lame. Because I still like the parry slap as an up special. So little adjustment I would like to make. I guess to help the pink thing, any opponent or projectile that he parries off of turn pink in that instance. Just as like a cosmetic little thing, but also something I'd like to add. Okay. Something else I'd like to add as well. So a second adjustment. If he parries off of a foe, specifically... Oh, actually, no! Off of a foe or projectile, he gains an extra parry jump. So normally he's only able to do it up to 3 times, but if you can parry off of an opponent or a projectile, he gains an extra one. So he could potentially parry like as many times as he wants to, so long as he lands it. It's the reward for landing the parry, just like how it is in Cuphead. Because potentially in Cuphead, you actually can parry indefinitely if the game allows you and if you're skilled enough. So I think to a degree the same thing could be done here. But like, keep in mind, when you parry projectiles, the projectile disappears, so you can't parry off the same projectile over and over again. In the context of Smash, I should say. And with opponents, when you parry them, they get knocked away. So, unless the opponent is purposefully choosing to DI after you, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with this. Would it be better than a footstool? No, I think two different things here. Alright, so there we go.
Close to Cuphead right when he uses this move, they will get hit by it, being dealt some small damage and knockback, and Cuphead will actually be sent a little bit higher than normal as a result. This attack will also neutralize any projectiles if the player can hit them with proper timing, which will also send Cuphead...
A limit on how often you can parry off of the foe? I don't think there needs to be one, because again, most foes will be smart enough to just DI away. If you keep letting a Cuphead player parry off of you multiple times, you deserve it.
This is the first time that some rules were broken to make a moveset work for Smash anyways. But overall, this up special would act as both a great defensive tool and also just a great get-off-me kind of tool if the Cuphead player is feeling too pressured by the foes, but it does require good timing to use, just like in the original game, and using it all willy-nilly can lead to some easy punishes.
Yep, there you go.
So for the final Smash, I actually have two ideas here, mainly because these are both some of Cuphead's most powerful attacks, and really either would work just fine, so I just couldn't decide. The first idea would simply have him use his first super art, the Energy Beam, which would have Cuphead fire a large beam of milk straight from his head horizontally forwards, pretty much working just like Samus's final Smash. Simple, but still very effective. The other idea that I had could be a cinematic final Smash that could incorporate his Super Bomb morph. Cuphead would do a super parry attack that, anyone hit by it, would be pulled into the smash. The screen would then transition to an old film grain style, as we see Cuphead fly around in his aeroplane before turning into the Super Bomb, and fly straight into the caught foes, dealing big damage and knockback. This smash would also end with a large comical explosion, so even foes that weren't caught in the final smash who are too close to it could still take damage, much like with Incineroar's final smash. But of course, the foes who were actually caught in the smash would be dealt way more damage than those who were just casualties.
Okay. I feel like at this point I gotta pick one. He can't have both. I want to pick one here. The plain one and the bomb one, those fit the cartoon aesthetic a little more. But the milk one, the super milk, the energy beam, whatever,
feels wrong to get rid of, huh?
Yeah, it does, because it's like a super that you see him using more often. It's more iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a weird situation, like, because the milk one, while more iconic, it's like the more used special that you'll see in the game, yeah, is not as interesting as a cinematic where, yeah, like he turns, like where he can gain that cartoony aesthetic where he turns into a bomb and blows him the heck up. Oh, I don't know. Let me think on this one, guys. Let me sleep on this one. Because I'm mixed.
So going into the colors, the default would of course be Cuphead in his usual getup. His first alternative color would give him yellow colors, which would be in reference to the cover of the Cuphead soundtrack. His next would make him just black and white, in reference of course to the fact that most cartoons in the 1930s were in fact colorless. The fourth would give him a purple straw and shorts and a slightly darker hue, in reference to the bad ending of the game if Cuphead chooses to make the wrong choice and sell his soul to the devil. The next would be an alternative costume, which would of course be Cuphead's brother, Mugman. You guys were probably wondering when I'd bring this guy up, huh? And I know some of you are probably wondering...
Ooh, wait a minute. I kind of like Willie's idea, actually. How about he uses the energy beam to transition into the cinematic? That's not a bad idea. I kind of dig that, actually.
Yeah, that could work.
I can see that working. Yeah, I'm done with that. That's a good idea. Cool. Alright.
Why I chose to make him a costume and not an Echo Fighter. Well, to put it simply, there's no need. Cuphead and Mugman are mechanically identical in every way, even in their original game, and they just don't have any radical differences that would require Mugman to be separated as an Echo Fighter. That said, however, before I move on, I would like to get an idea of an Echo Fighter out of the way that I did originally have planned. And that was going to be for the character Miss Chalice, the newly revitalized playable character being added to the DLC. Admittedly, she was the major reason why I was putting Cuphead off until we got more information on the DLC. And since it was pushed back, thus leading...
Should Mugman have a different Final Smash? Nah, I don't think he needs to.
...us to still know next to nothing about her new role.
In 2-player, they both, again, literally do the exact same things. Like, even with the jet fighter
I decided
plane.
that it'd be best to not include her for now.
Okay, so in regards to Miss Chalice now, I don't think she needs to be an Echo Fighter. I think I'd rather her be her own character, and that is just because they did, for the most part, design her to be a different kind of playstyle character compared to the boys.
That's true.
Because they gave her different mechanics, so they purposefully designed her to be different. Which in theory could also work as an Echo Fighter, but then I also think about, like, they added new weapons to the DLC which she could use, like, that she can use, like, as a, like Cuphead and Mugman can use the original, like, game's default weapons, like the base game's weapons. Chalice can use some of the DLC weapons. On top of that, because of the nature of the cartoony, like, rubber hose deal, this could be an opportunity to give her just a bunch of different wacky moves that better fit Miss Chalice, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Like, also, yeah. Bug One Gub also brings up another good point as well. Because of her nature as the ghost, like, she can use moves that are more like ghost representative. So, I think at this point, officially, Miss Chalice is, I think, no longer suited as an Echo Fighter for Cuphead and Mugman. I mean, technically, she still could. Nothing's stopping me from being able to make her an Echo Fighter. I'd rather make her her own character, though. So, if you want to see Miss Chalice, get those requests in.
As I said at the beginning, when the DLC does come out, and if I decide to make a video going over things the DLC adds that could have been included in a Smash moveset, I'll be sure to talk about Miss Chalice as a possible Echo Fighter as well. Anyways, getting back to the right side of the tracks, the first alternate color for Mugman would be him in a pink color scheme, in reference to the pink parryable items. His second would just give him a black and white color scheme as well, one to go along with Cuphead's. And the final, to also complete the set, would give Mugman an indigo color scheme.
Okay,
Also in reference to the bad ending of the...
Okay, I'm thinking... I think I want to change that pink color to a green one. Like, keep Mugman in the cool colors, and Cuphead mostly in, like, mostly the warm colors. He does have that one purple lot, which isn't really a cool color, but just to add a couple more cool colors, like a cool color that isn't a warm color. So yeah, I'm thinking change this one, make it a green alt. It doesn't necessarily need to be referencing anything, but I think for the spectrum, it's better for the spectrum, for the color spectrum. So I would just change that pink alt into a green one.
Game. For their stage intro, here's an interesting one.
The gray color thing I know is weird. I know that much, because that one is a weird one, but at the same time, I feel like it is necessary. Because if we're going to have two alts where it's two different characters, in this... Oh, actually, I don't know. Because I feel it appropriate for both brothers to have a black and white alt. But then, yeah, there's the color spectrum issue there. I'll come back to this one. So I'm gonna put for the black and white one for Mugman specifically. Let me see. That's a good point. Probably does need to be changed. So that one I'll come back to.
Yeah. It could have a giant film reel pass over the stage, with each frame showing Cuphead in a different walking frame, and it would start speeding up enough so that the frames align properly to show the full walking animation as Cuphead walks closer to his spot. Then the reel quickly rolls up, revealing Cuphead, who's raring to go. For the first taunt,
I still like
it
that
can show
signature.
the animation the boys have whenever they gain a new special power, with their limbs pulsating before lifting their own head up for a tip of the glass, and their straws become an exclamation point. The second can have them do a hard flex with bubbles spilling out of their straw, an animation that Cuphead sometimes does at the beginning of boss fights. And the final will have the boys pull their straw down and drink their own head fluids. Ew. This was an animation that we see Mugman do sometimes at the start of boss fights. And finally, for their victory animations, for the first, you would hear "Knockout" be screamed, and show the boys jumping up and down excited like we see them do at the overworld after completing a level. Then show them pose with both hands on their hips, just like we see Cuphead do on the end of level result screens. The next would have them do that goofy dance that we see them do in the trailer for the Switch version of the game. Then do a pose holding their hand up, just like Mugman does on the end of level result screens. And the final would have a huge sign fall in front of the boys that reads, "The End," looking just like the back of the book cover that we see after beating the original game. Then they'll poke through the sign and begin waving towards the crowd. That's all! But that actually is all, folks! For if Cuphead had a Smash moveset along with Mugman as an alt. This one was a long...
Okay, those taunts and victory animations were fine. Okay, so not a whole lot to change for Cuphead and Mugman. So it's literally, yeah, like, adjust the down smash, adjust the parry, adjust the different shots. Yeah, again, like that final smash, and then those Mugman alts. But overall, a fairly solid moveset. I think this one held up pretty well. Different series icon? Oh, you don't like the... No, I like the series icon that we thought of for it. No. Maybe one of the black and white alts can be Sepia? Potentially. Again, I'll come back to that one. We'll see. Alright, cool. So yeah, overall, the three movesets that we went over today decently were held up. I think Rayman is the one that needs the most changes, but overall, not bad. Alright, cool. So who do we have next time? So yeah, so we're past our 2-hour mark, so we do need to end things here. I figured that much. Yeah, I figured we wouldn't be able to get to Phoenix today because that's a half-hour long video. So, all right. Yeah, so next time will be Phoenix Wright, Paper Mario, and Undyne. That's right. Okay. All right, so we'll see what happens. I actually might be able to stream sometime this weekend, guys, because I'm not going into work this weekend for reasons, hand-related reasons and other personal-related reasons that I really don't want to go over right now. I'll talk about it later. But all right, so yeah, that's where we're gonna go ahead and end things here, folks. So yeah, so next time we watch more videos, we'll be going over at least Phoenix Wright, Paper Mario, and Undyne. We'll see you all then. Have a good night, everyone.
Alrighty.